Alright, now here we have 2 points, and we want to find the ratio of 1 to 4. So again, the total is 4. So you have 4 parts. I'm sorry, you have 5 parts, because you had 1 and 4, and that gives you the 5. So from A to the point P is going to, if we had a line, now you may want to, again, just draw you a little line to see it, but okay, if we go over 1, up 1, that's our first point, and then we go over 7, up 3, we should be somewhere in here. Connect the points, and then we're looking, we want A to be the point P to be 1/5 of the way. So 1/5, I'm gonna put somewhere here. So almost, because remember, we've got a total of 5 parts. So 1/5 of it is between A and point P, and then 4/5 of it is from from P to B. So that would be 4/5. Alright. Alright, so if I'm going from A to P, what I'm going to do is I got to find the changes. So we're going to start out at A. So this would be our X1, this is our Y1, this is our X2, our Y2. So let's look at the change in X. I'm going to use a little symbol, just delta. Change in X. So we'll take 7 minus 1. So we get a change of 6 from A to B. Okay, and then for Y, we'll start out with 3, subtract 1, and we end up with 2. Now we want to figure out how much of that change occurs from A to P. So we'll take the 6 and multiply it times 1/5. Okay, so that's going to give us our change in X. Alright, and then our change in Y is going to be given by, alright, so we're going to go ahead and multiply this, and we end up with 6/5. Go ahead and convert that to a decimal, so we'll divide 6 by 5, and we end up with 1.2. Alright, we're going to do the same thing for the Y, the change in Y. So we had a change of 2 overall, but we're only looking for the 1/5 of the change. Okay, so we end up with 2/5. So we're going to divide 2 by 5 again and change it to the decimal form, and we end up with 0.4. Alright, so to figure out what this point is, we're going to add the change in X to the X value, and then the change in Y. So point P should be at 1 plus 1.2, and then 1 plus 0.4. Okay, so for this one we should end up with 2.2, and then 1.4 for that point. Now again, I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. Now again, on the problems you do, you only have to go through in one way, but just to show you that it doesn't matter which point we start with, as long as we switch the fraction of the line that we're looking at. That is what would matter. Alright, now this time we know that it's 4/5. Okay, the point P to B is 4/5 of the line segment. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we need to switch our X and our Y's as far as Y1 and 2. So we're going to start from B and go to P, or start from B and go to A, and then figure out what P is. So now B would be X1 and Y1, and this would be X2 and Y2. So the change in X is going to be equal to 1 minus 7, or negative 6. And then the change in Y would be 3, well, it'd be 1 minus 3, or negative 2. Okay, now from that we're going to take the 4/5 and multiply it times our changes. So let's go negative 6 times 4/5, and that'll give us, now what's happening here is this is the overall change, and this is if we went all the way down to A. But we're looking at the change just to the P part. So multiply the top, so we end up with negative 24 over 5. I'm going to go ahead and convert that to a decimal. So we end up with negative 24 divided by 5, and that ends up with negative 4.8. Okay, and then the change in Y would be the negative 2 times the 4/5. Okay, so we end up with negative 8 over 5. We'll go ahead and convert that to a decimal as well. And we end up with negative 1.6. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these two values and add it to, or combine it with the x and y value for b. So we go 7 minus 4.8, and that will give us the value, the p value. And then we'll do 3, and it'll end up being minus 1.6. Okay, then we're going to combine those, and so we get, when we do 7 minus 4.8, we end up with 2.2 as our x value. Okay, and then we do this, 3 minus 1.6. We end up with 1.4 as our p-value.